please join me in saluting the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, I'll read the announcement. There will be a meeting of the New Hampshire Fish and Game Commission on Tuesday, September 19, 2023 at 1 p.m. at the New Hampshire Fish and Game Department, 11 Hazen Drive, Concord, New Hampshire, 03301. The public is entitled to attend all commission meetings, and when recognized by the chairman, the public may speak on any item on the agenda. The chairman reserves the right to limit public comment to the extent necessary for the orderly conduct of the meeting. We'll move on to action items. Approval of the August 15, 2023 commission meeting. Can I get a motion to approve those?
So moved.
It's moved, and can I get a second?
I'll second.
Then moved and seconded to approve the minutes of August 15, 2023. Commissioner Hodge.
I have some amendments, please. Under new business on page 7, where we had the discussion from Commissioner Green about the request from the Conservation Commission. Commissioner Green reported, yada, yada, yada. Commissioner Hodson recommended the Public Engagement and Education Committee discuss that. I'd like to clarify that, ask the Public Education Engagement Committee to take this and bring back a recommendation to the full commission, looking at this request in broader context. Commissioner DeRosa did accept that that committee would do that, so I'd just like to make that a little bit more affirmative so that we don't lose sight of that. The second one is under new business on page 6. Commissioner Hodson asked about the status of the online deer registration. Director Mason responded. It was actually Andy Timmons that responded.
Okay. Any objection to those corrections from any commissioner? I'm not going to ask for another vote on that. All in favor of those minutes as corrected by Commissioner Hodgson, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same corrected. Thank you, Commissioner Hodgson. Now we'll go on to the consent agenda. The following items have been grouped together and noted as consent agenda items to expedite action on routine matters, which may not require public discussion. The commission members may remove certain items if further public input or discussion is deemed necessary. 2A, approval to accept the donation of a cougar mount valued at approximately $500 in memory of John Harrigan from the National Wildlife Coalition. The mount was given to John by Chris Shadler's father, at which time he requested it to be donated to the Fish and Game Department upon his passing. 2B, approval to accept the donation of $125 from Weeks State Park Association. This donation was made in appreciation of the presentation provided by Colby Dennison, fisheries biologist, at the Weeks State Park on August 10, 2023. 2C, approval to accept the donation of $300 from Celia Rye and Jim Corin. This donation was made in appreciation for services rendered by conservation officers while assisting Nicholas Wetlow off Dickey Mountain Trail in Portland after sustaining an injury. 2D, approval to accept the following donation totaling $100 made in memory of Peter Abea, an avid sportsman of Springfield, New Hampshire, for deposited in the small games and donations account. Susan Cutting from Springfield, New Hampshire, $50. Pauline Fritz from Springfield, New Hampshire, $50 for a total of $100. 2E, approval to accept the donation of $150,000 from the Charles D. Parsons Family Trust to be used as part of the non-federal match for the 645-acre acquisition of the Aaron Ledge property in Springfield, New Hampshire.
Aaron, 63.5 acres?
No.
635, I had the decimal wrong.
Oh.
645. 40?
35.
35?
Yeah, the decimal was just in the wrong.
Okay. That'd be 635 pages.
Correct.
And 2D, approval to accept a donation of $50 from the National Conservation Association to be utilized towards the purchase of a wildlife snail hole. I'd entertain a motion to accept as submitted items 2A through 2F. Do I have a motion?
Can I make a motion to remove 2E from the consent agenda?
You can. Is there a second?
I'll second that item to be removed.
All in favor of removing 2E from for a later time in the meeting, to the discussion, right?
Yes.
Okay. Removing the discussion. At this time, for later discussion within this meeting. Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Stands approved. We'll take up 2E at the end of the meeting. Okay, informational item. You got the financial statement from Kathy, which is the end of the year statement, I take it, right, Kathy?
No, we did the end of the year statement last month. And then last month I explained that I haven't done a July or an August one because I'm still waiting on final figures from the Department of Administrative Services for budgetarily. So I haven't done a financial statement this fiscal year, but I did provide you the final one, and we
Yeah.
went over that a month or two ago.
I've already looked at that, thank you very much.
Okay,
Everybody got a copy of that, right?
yes.
Okay, that's
And
fine.
everyone did receive the report of the dedicated funds and the trends in your packet. You should have received that, as well as the final expense report. Okay.
Any questions of Kathy, anybody?
Just one thing, so we had a motion to remove 2E, but we didn't have a motion to approve the rest of the consent.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay.
Unless you want to
Oh,
include
nope.
that.
Nope, you're right. Thank you for that.
And there was one more, item 2F.
What's that?
There's one additional item on the next page, 2F.
You got that?
Yeah, did you read that?
I just read that, thanks. Okay. Entertain a motion to accept 2A through 2F with 2E being removed for a later time. I'll entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
Make the motion.
Second. Okay. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Keep the question all right,
Can I make a recommendation, Mr. Chair? They already have the presentation queued up for 2E ahead of Sherry's presentation. Should we do that now before we do
right?
the?
If the commission wishes to do that. Wish to have it right now?
I'll make
On
a
item
motion
2E.
that we reorder wildlife habitat ahead of the offshore wind presentation. For purposes of
You want to do what?
what the commissioner from Rockingham suggested, because it's already queued up, the other presentation.
That's the presentation.
Yeah, that's 2E, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, okay. All right, we'll go with it now.
Tell me next and I'll.
Okay.
You say this and I'll leave it alone.
Okay, so I'll stand and good afternoon, Commissioner Chairman.
Why is that listed like that? Is that money going into the wildlife habitat account?
No, we'll talk about that. It's just,
Okay.
I work for the Wildlife Habitat Program. So when I was asked to do this presentation for the acceptance of the 150,000, Jim Ayler asked me to use our template for the Wildlife Habitat Program. That's all it is.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Is this on?
Should be.
I don't think so. No? It doesn't sound like Okay, it's on. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for taking this up now. I appreciate the time to discuss this generous donation from the Charles B. Parsons and Sylvia Parsons, the donation of $150,000. Just to give you a little bit of background, this is the request that's in your packet. as written. The donors, Charles D. Parson and Sylvia Parsons, Sylvia's Charles' daughter, are grateful for the work that the department has done towards the conservation in the town of Springfield. The completion of the Aaron Ledge project is important to them. They have recreated on this property for several generations and have seen changes in ownership several times. The current owner had plans to develop the property into kingdom lots, and over the past 30 years, they have heard the department was seeking to conserve Aaron Ledge. They asked how they could help. I suggested a cash donation, but I did not dictate the amount. I want to be very clear about that. Nor did I expect this exceptional gift. They are not asking for anything in exchange for this donation, only that the land is conserved and remain open to the public and not for development. Next. As I work on a project, I create expenses in the acquisition of the project. The project is a 635-acre parcel in the town of Springfield. There is a slide later that will show you where it is on the landscape and how it is associated with other conservation land nearby. But in the project, the direct project costs for this property, the total, as you see, is $1,162,834. So, am I saying that wrong, Wendy? $1,162,834. Got it. Sorry. We were approved for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Restoration Grants in August. And that $797,000 is the amount that I had to have appraisals done. I had to have due diligence costs for title work, just like if you would be purchasing a property yourself. When we acquire property using U.S. Fish and Wildlife or Wildlife Restoration Grants, 75% of the total is covered by that grant. The rest of it is covered by non-federal match. So this 25% that we need to come up with, the $150,000 is being put towards that part of the acquisition, and it's helping us. Actually, I'm going to ask Randy to explain the land match. If you have any questions about that.
You want me to do that, Betsy, now, or just if there are questions?
If there are questions about it, I was trying to make this slide relatively simple for your viewing. The $797 is all the acquisition costs, which includes the cost of the land, the appraisals, the due diligence, the closing, the title insurance for closing. So having this $150,000 come into the department as a non-federal, having a non-federal connection, it's unprecedented. It's a very generous gift, and to use it, help use it towards the acquisition of Aaron Ledge. This is just the simple breakdown of that acquisition. The rest of the money that is acquired, that we need for the 25% match, is coming out of what is called the banked land value match. It's a banked match, which I think Randy has explained in past commission meetings. I hope I'm explaining that relatively well, but I think we can move on. We can come back to this later. So this is the description of the property is 635 acres. It abuts the Giles State Forest to the right. All of the green on your screen there is state-owned land. Giles State Forest is to the southeast. The little bit of green on the northeast is solid green is McDaniels Marsh, which is owned by Fish and Game. The outlined green parcel is the Johnson Farm, which we are in the process of acquiring. And the yellow parcel that's southly outlined to the south is the Shaw parcel, which I am in the process of acquiring as well. So the Shaw parcel and the Aaron Ledge parcel share a 3,000 foot boundary line. So that's going to be a pretty nice, that one's 185 acres. So that's gonna be a nice, nice chunk of land to conserve, and it creates a much nicer corridor in that area. The next,
Before you move on,
Okay.
what's that square in the middle that is not highlighted?
that's private land. I actually know who the landowner is, and it's possible, hopefully, we can put that into conservation as well. Actually, I believe, the person who owns that is conducting the survey on the Shaw parcel right now. So he's very aware that conservation in this area is a high priority for us.
Are there any easements to speak of to access that property?
That donut,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know anything about that property. It's not, no, I don't know anything about it. But I don't know if I have a pointer.
So are there easements going across either the Shaw parcel or the Aaron Ledge piece to access that property?
So these parcels are accessed off of Deep Snow Road and Old Grafton Road, which is off of 4A. So the access to Shaw parcel and the Aaron Ledge parcel is very secure, and I can show that to you. Is that,
No,
No,
I'm asking
no, that's
about
not
the
the question.
access to the private property. How does that landowner?
Does the private property owner access his or her property across either
no,
the Shaw parcel or the Aaron Ledge parcel?
no, his property is right off of Old Grafton Road.
Okay.
There's a boundary, yeah, the Old Grafton goes right in between those two.
Okay.
So, just to show you, this is a access into the Aaron Ledge parcel, but the little green spot at the bottom, it comes up from a road, and that's that white line. That's Deep Snow Road. And Deep Snow Road is right off of Old Grafton Road. Deep Snow Road is a Class 5 road. So this is just this is just an example of how to access the property. I'll show you in a minute how that green road has been constructed. And there are woods roads within the property from logging that's happened over the years. So this is the access. This is right at the end of Deep Snow Road. And this is from Google Earth. The outline of the property is taken from a shapefile from the survey. And you can see that from this road, that screenshot is from Bing. I didn't have a good summer screenshot of that area. But that road was developed in 2002, 2003. So the main access into Aaron Ledge is at the end of Deep Snow Road. The access was built to Class 5 standards in anticipation of development. And the residents, it was unclear from the neighbors whether the owner was going to put just one house up there or multiple houses, but you can go to the next slide and you can see the development. So this is why they call it Deep Snow Road. But this is this is looking into the private road that gate is on Aaron Ledge property. So that's going to be our main access into this property. There's another access to the property, which is to I'm sorry, we're going to, the slides, this one shows the, I wish I had a pointer. Do I have a pointer on this? No.
They don't work on the
Oh,
LCD
okay.
screen.
All right, so I'm going to come up. Until I don't give presentations to the So this is the first log landing. So this would be the main access to where we would put like the parking lot at our kiosk. And so coming up this road, this is the first log landing. There's the second log landing, which I think is the next slide, is right there. These are habitat cuts that were done by the forester, which Jim Ehler is familiar with, and he feels that this property has been managed very well for wildlife habitat. I think the next slide shows the next. Okay, so this is Old Gilman Road. which was discontinued in 1865. So this one starts at the end of property edge. I think it goes into Shad Hill Road, which is a class 5, combination class 5, class 6 road. But this is going to be the access for maintenance and for public from the west side of the property. And the Shaw parcel, which I was talking about, which I'm in the process of acquiring as well, is this parcel here. So this road will be on both sides of each parcel. Is there any questions about that?
Can you go
Am I
back?
on the way? I'm sorry.
Can you go back to the previous slide?
Sure.
What's the goal line up on top?
Oh, I think that's just that's the town, that's in Grafton. Just poor lining of the town lines.
And what's this line here? It
This
looks like such-
this is a power line.
This one here?
That's a
Oh,
power line.
That's a power line?
Yep.
Okay.
This is Old Grafton Road. So Old Grafton Road, and I'm sorry, I don't have a zoomed out aerial view. Old Grafton Road goes around like this down to Route 4. And this is Deep Snow Road.
While we're here, can you go back at least 2 slides to like maybe the second slide? Keep going, keep going, keep going. Right there.
Oh, okay. So
What's this?
that's just poor lining. It's just a poor alignment. This is a tax lot. This, you can't,
I mean, it looks like it's overshadowing our piece.
it's not. It's really not. This has been surveyed. This is in the process of being surveyed. This is just the best I could do with the GIS information that I have.
Oh, okay.
But this is an outlot. This is an outlot. Deep Snow Road comes down here. Old Grafton Road comes up here. Old Grafton Road continues down Route 4A. I'm sure it should be touching the screen that far.
It's just a
4A.
GIS issue. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I don't have that.
Makes 2 of us.
Okay. Okay, so these are just more pictures into the property. And again, this is also Old Gilman Road, a little farther down. This is up into Aaron Ledge, and I think I'm looking towards Battlestate Forest. This is some winter, some really good rock outcrops that are farther up as you get up to Aaron Ledge. Aaron Ledge is, that's the view from the top of Aaron Ledge. It's really gorgeous up there. I can see why somebody would want to build a house up there, but luckily we're in the process of conserving it. So there's a lot of wildlife habitat up in there too, a lot of moose. There's another, I actually stole this from the real estate ad that the guy the landowner was advertising it in Boston. So I looked at that. That's Aaron Ledge. So the request is for the acceptance of $150,000 that the department would use towards the non-federal match to acquire the property. And I can entertain any questions.
So I'll go back to my original question.
Okay.
When we accept this $150,000, it's going in the game division, I take it. Where in game division is this $150,000 going?
That would be,
Or within the department, where is it going?
that's, I believe it's going in gifts and donations. It's not going into the wildlife habitat account. Is that?
Yeah, that's what Kathy and I would agree with that, gifts and donations.
And it's dedicated to the acquisition of this.
So I didn't hear, where's it going?
Gifts and donations account,
Small.
Oh,
small gifts and donations.
oh, okay. That's a small donation?
It's pretty amazing. It kind of blew me away with how much they were willing to, and I just was astounded that they're just really concerned.
Anybody got any questions?
I have a quick one.
Yes. Okay.
I just want to be sure I understand. This will be a fee acquisition.
Correct.
And Hampshire Fish and Game will own this property.
Correct.
And it's been surveyed.
Yes, it has been surveyed.
Sure, go ahead.
It's been surveyed. Has there been an inventory done on the
A
property?
timber inventory?
Yeah.
Yes, we use that as part of the appraisal.
Okay. Okay. And just the appraisal process, was it in fact done by a certified appraiser or people who might be experts in land and timber type appraisals? I'm just
The
curious.
person who did the appraiser is Marcia Beesey, and Landvest did the timber appraisal. And they are done to Yellow Book standards, which are the federal, like, the acronym for what the Yellow Book standards, off the top of my head, I can't think of it. It's an appraisal that it takes a lot of work, and I'm not an appraiser. So I let them do their job, and that appraisal gets reviewed by another appraiser.
So we have to follow
Federal
guidelines
guidelines,
on
correct.
both the timber appraisal and the real estate appraisal.
Yes,
And that's all set by the federal in order to qualify to
For the
get the
grant.
federal money.
Yeah. So I'm curious, with respect to contracting the services, right,
Mhm.
to do this, is that something that's put out to bid, or is it is put out to bid?
I did
So-
not bring that information with me. I didn't know I was going to be asked about it.
So there are multiple entities that could bid on that process.
There's the opportunity for an appraiser who has gone through the Yellow Book, the federal appraising course, per se, that are qualified to be a Yellow Book appraiser through the federal courses. They're the ones that would have bid on it. I don't remember how, I don't remember how many, I only got, I think, 3 bids, is what I recall.
Yep.
Is that the bid chief?
Yeah.
I know he's on the.
Oh, did you find?
So,
So 7 companies.
sorry, 8.
And 3 bid.
And the answer would be at 8 that, 8 people that were put on the bid list. The only one that replied was Landvest, and that was for the Aaron property and also Shaw
Shaw,
property.
that was for the timber appraisal.
Right, the other 7 did not bid.
Right, no, yeah, that was for the timber appraisal.
Right.
The real estate appraisal was also sent out to qualified appraisers. And I generally use the DOT qualified appraisers list. And I only got 3 responses. But I'm not sure, I'm not sure what you have, Commissioner Green. I didn't,
What?
well, I'm not sure what you were looking at
This was the actual bid that went out
for the
for
the contract.
for the timber and the survey of the assets of the timber on actually 2 properties,
right,
which was this property here,
yes.
and also something called
Now,
Shaw.
okay, now, yeah, you have the Landvest one.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that was just for the timber.
And I thought that's what John was looking for, was timber.
Okay, was that what you were?
No.
But I was not sure about what the process was with respect to having an inventory done
Mhm.
or a survey done, or, that sort of thing. I did not know if we went through the process of it actually being, a
Yes.
competitive bid, if you will.
So both the real estate appraiser and the timber appraiser went through competitive bid process and GNC.
Follow-up, I'm really curious. This, being near Guile, I can understand how a property this size would certainly be on our radar for a long, long time. Did it actually become a listing for sale?
Mhm.
It did.
That's where I took that picture from.
Okay. Would you mind if I asked who had the listing?
I have it on my computer. It was a while ago. Those pictures are from, it might be from about 6 or 7 years ago. And it was listed.
That's all. Good, thank you.
Commissioner Green?
Thank you. I actually have a couple of questions on it. Number one, is the Aaron Mine part of this property?
Yes, it's right at the base of of where the outcrop is on that picture. I've never found it. I don't know where
But
it
I
is.
mean, never found what?
I've never found the
mine?
mine. I was up walking around those pictures from the fall, not this particular picture, pictures from the fall. I ended up in front of.
So it's just abutting this property, or is it part of this property?
Aaron Mine is part of this property. Correct.
My other one was, and I think you answered it in an earlier slide, was how much did the estimates come out for, especially on the timber estimate?
I'm here just to,
Yes.
just for the acceptance of the donation. I don't have that information in front of me.
One more, and that should be enough for me, for the title search done?
Yes, that's the part of the closing costs. That was part of
Okay.
it. It's in
The
the
reason
process.
why I'm asking this, we only just got this information.
For,
Got it Friday in my packet. We haven't had much time to look into this.
the title abstract and title work is being done at this moment. I've contracted for that.
No, I'm just saying, these are why we're coming up with questions.
Okay.
May I make a
I don't
comment?
have any further.
Commissioner Caven?
This process will be repeated at some point in time, I hope, because this is a good deal, okay, we think. Okay, but in terms of what's being presented today, and you only just happen to be at the microphone, I'm not speaking specifically to you, but to anybody here in Fish and Game that prepares something like this, okay, and basically it's before us as a commission hoping for our blessing, okay, I really think we're entitled to get more information in advance. And I don't think I'm out of line in asking that or making that request. I just, you know, I think most of us on the commission are capable of digesting, okay, the information that supports
For the land acquisition.
exactly, that supports this. But I just think that I think we deserve and we're entitled to have this information in advance so that we can come forward, you know, with a real understanding of this, and, you know, maybe ask better questions or a few less questions because we already know the answers to some of our questions. That's just a general comment that I have. And I would hope that whoever the next person is that presents like this just provides us with the information in advance.
Duly noted.
Any other commissioners have any questions? Seeing none, I entertain a motion on this issue. It is an issue that can be tabled until next meeting because it's over $25,000. If you so desire, if you think you need more time to think about it. If you don't, it is an action item, you can act on it. I entertain a motion.
I'm gonna make a motion, and my reasoning of the motion is, I need more time to look into this, so my motion is gonna be to table it till next month.
Is there a second to that motion?
I would second that.
Been moved and seconded to table this to next month. Is there any discussion on the motion?
May I comment?
I'd like to, can I make a comment?
Sure.
I mean, I agree with you guys that we should be getting more information in advance, but I also, from everything she said, even before questioning, she mentioned the title search, all that stuff. I think the due diligence is being done through the processes that are already in place. I agree, in the future we should have more, but I think for the sake of a good opportunity, for the sake of the fact that you are doing your job well, I think we should do this today.
Thank you.
Any other further comment? Commissioner Hodgson?
I appreciate all of my other commissioners' comments. And I don't want anybody to mistake, and I'll speak for myself, not for them, the questions and the ask to table it to mean that we don't support this or that this isn't a great idea, or that anybody's not doing a great job. You're asking for our votes to support this, and I recognize it's only a donation in part of the whole, but it's just making sure that our vote is based on all the right information that you help us understand. So yes, I trust that you're doing your job well, but it's our vote. We have to make sure that we understand, and we're not signing off and supporting something that unknowingly causes more risk or, you know, undue or unseen financial burden for the department, so.
Betsy, tabling this for a month, is there an impact to the project?
Yes, because I have a purchase and sale agreement with, that I'm trying to go through all of the other committees. I have to go to fiscal committee for, before I can go to governor and council to approve the acquisition. And I do have a purchase and sale in place that I'm trying to, I am aiming to try and close on this by the end of December. You know, governor and council, as you know, takes time. Fiscal committee takes time. And I can't go to fiscal committee without your commission and without the commission.
Has this been in front of the governor and council before now?
No, I don't bring acquisitions of property before governor and council until all my ducks are in a row.
Nothing to do with this property been in front of the governor and council?
Well, except for the appraisal and contracts for the work
There
and
was
due
a timber
diligence.
appraisal on this property and another adjoining property.
When was that?
Looks like back in December, January.
Yep,
7, 8 months ago?
it takes a while for us to acquire land. And I'm right down to the wire. I'm
How
right
long
down
have you
to
been
the-
working on the project?
I've been working on this for a year and a half, 2 years. So I would like to see it.
Well,
I would like to echo AJ. I think the department, I feel it's done its due diligence. I think we should, I'm going to vote against this motion table.
When did we know about the donation?
I knew that the Parsons were willing to donate. I knew that they were willing to donate for a while. We have somebody who's also in a butter to them that had the conversation, it got back to me. So how much they were willing to do, I did not want to commit their donation until I knew that after the appraisal was done, that the landowner was going to accept the fair market value of the appraisal, and he did. And so that was in, I think in the spring. So I received the appraisals, I think in May. And so I had to do an amendment to the purchase and sale that we're, this is going to be the sale amount. And at that time, I approached, or I contacted the Parsons. And I said, it's been approved. And I didn't know what they were going to offer. So they've been hankering to give us the money for a long time. But I said, I got to do my due diligence first. I knew I had to come to the, you know, to the council, or the commission. I couldn't come in August, or was there, I can't remember. I talked to the Parsons in July after we were fairly certain that the grant was going to get approved. So all of these other things had to happen first before I said, yes, we're going forward. And I didn't get federal grant approval until August, middle of August.
I agree with AJ and Commissioner Paul that, you know, we shouldn't beat on you at all. But Director, this is the second time we've had property issues that come to us without all the information. Can you and your staff in the future bring information to us in a more timely manner?
We can. The question, the way I'm looking at this question, is your authority is over the donation, not over the purchase of the property.
Right.
I'll even know that the donation is.
That's all we're talking about.
We're obviously not gonna accept, you know, the donation won't be made to us if we don't purchase the property.
But we could have you could have addressed, your staff could have addressed a little bit more information to us, like last month, or even May, I think she said.
Well, she didn't have the donation amount until July.
July,
And this was the first meeting she could attend and be on.
and I didn't have federal grant approval until August.
So This is the first meeting.
So it's like getting the ducks in the row.
But that's the issue, is that there are so many steps in all of those projects, and trying to get everything lined up so that we get to your part, which is a donation. She's saying that she didn't know what the donation amount fully would be until August.
But you knew there was gonna be a donation.
Knew there was gonna be a
We would have to
donation.
accept.
So, but you want me to present, we're gonna have a donation with no dollar amount? I can't do that.
No, I know, but Commissioner Howard.
When we spoke about the other property at the last commission meeting, we talked about this is a great topic, an agenda item for the infrastructure committee.
Right.
So if that,
That was a donation of
I-
land.
yep, but I wasn't finished with my thought. If there's regular engagement in those meetings with the agenda items, it's all that, hey, this is how we're planning to expand property. Hey, now we have a heads up on Shaw, now we have a heads up on that other piece that you presented. We should have some idea and pulse on what's going on through the infrastructure committee, and then through those conversations, hey, when you present this, this is what we're going to ask for. So it comes to us as a cleaner, tighter package, and we can really go through and support the timeline. I don't like being put into a position where we have to make a vote, because it will then be the commission's fault if we don't, and we're going to, mess up a timeline. I think with better communication and these kinds of things coming through the infrastructure committee, we can just have a better process.
Commissioner Green.
My feeling on this, and what you're hearing from the commissioners, is the fact that we were informed of this on Friday, and this is I don't want to come across like we're shooting the messenger, okay? Just today, it's your turn to stand there. This was known back in December. In fact, in this report that you have here, not only is it for this property, it's for another piece of property. We're not even aware of that. What we're trying to say is, and unfortunately, we end up coming across as the bad people. If I was the person making this donation right now, I would probably be upset that here I am willing to give Fish and Game this money. But Fish and Game has not informed this commission of this item to give us time to look at it. I got the packet on Friday. Commissioner Hodgson hasn't even gotten her packet yet. I'm gonna withdraw my motion, Mr. Chairman. I do not want to see this happen again. We need to get stuff in time.
Commissioner Cavanagh, do you withdraw your second?
I will. Permission to speak.
Please.
If this thing moves forward, I want you to know that I'm gonna vote no. And I'm the only one, okay? And it's only for one reason, okay? I want to emphasize the fact that I believe we are owed more information in advance if we are really to do the job we're supposed to do with things like this. So that's why I'm gonna vote no. If I'm the only one, I'll own it, okay?
I'm in the room also, so you can feel free to send all those comments my way.
She's a closer.
I can go back up there.
Commissioner Tim?
Yeah, this property, obviously in Sullivan County, so I have an interest in it. But for the commission, how much different in a general oversight is accepting this than what we did with the multi-millions that we accepted on the Ruger property? Ruger property showed up, there was a vote, oh, we're not gonna let this 2,000 acres go away. The timeliness on these things is obviously important, and I certainly respect the two commissioners next to me requesting that. And sometimes I feel that same way. Ray, I'm not sure what you're reading there. I don't think anybody else has got that. Something
No, I found it over the weekend.
It was the governor and council
Right.
contract for
So-
timber appraisal.
Ray's got some information here that maybe will show.
We would be happy to meet with the committee and present a report on all the projects that we're currently working on. Because as we, these projects take years usually to put together. These are
And they
not done
sometimes
overnight.
fall through.
So in closure, I would expect nothing but the professionalism of seeking the 3 bids, going out and gathering people from a pre-approved bid list that the state maintains, the timber appraisal, property appraisal, so I assume that would happen. Survey, property survey, we surveyed the Ruger property, it's very clear where it is. You can go there, you can see it, you know when you're on the property, and I assume something like this will be the same.
Yes.
So there's 2 different discussions for me. One is, do we accept $150,000? The second discussion is an internal discussion of how we get the appropriate information that we should have a little bit sooner, and realizing sometimes you can't let the cat out of the bag until a little later in the process. Sometimes there's some confidentiality that goes on, and I respect that too. But to hold up $150,000 because of the way we're receiving information, I don't support that.
Okay, the original motion and second has been withdrawn. And then entertain another motion and a second.
I'll make a motion that we accept the $150,000 donation.
I'll second
And a second. Been moved and seconded to accept the $150,000 in item number 2E. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Stands approved.
Thank you.
Thank you for being the brunt of the harassment.
Shouldn't get paid enough for that. Mr. Chair, can we make sure to capture that action for the infrastructure committee in the notes? Follow up on land projects.
You got that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we got on the financial statement, and then we got back off it. Is there any further questions or discussions that you wish to have, make a chance at? Seeing none, we'll go on to the presentation of offshore wind presentation by Sharif.
Good afternoon. Dan's going to operate the slides for me. Did somebody want to get the lights over there to make it easier for you to see? Thank you. So, I'm here to give you guys an update on where we are within the state of New Hampshire to some degree with offshore wind development in the Gulf of Maine. This is going to be quick and I don't want to say dirty, but quick and dirty as best as I can make it, because it's overwhelming, and Jim can probably even attest to this. It's a freight train. It's coming down the tracks whether we like it or not. Next, please. Thank you. So one of the questions that we here in the Fishing Game Department, as well as DES, question is, can fisheries and energy coexist? If they can, what are the concerns? There are many unknowns to many questions, and as to offshore wind development effects to fisheries and habitats within the Gulf of Maine. For example, areas of offshore development, types of platform foundations. You can see off to the top right, we're going to be having floating foundations in the Gulf of Maine due to the depth of water. We're not going to have monopiles. So this kind of spreads out your anchoring system when you're talking about floating turbines, which could be a bigger footprint of an offshore wind turbine to fisheries than monopiles would be. We're also looking at any sort of economic and ecological effects on offshore wind development. And we want to take a look at not just during the pre-development stage, but before, during, and after installation. Next, please. Okay. BOEM is the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, and they are the ones that, the government agency that is in charge of developing offshore wind. This is a simplistic view of the siting process. The decisions by BOEM to a lease area in the center there starts with defining a planning area. In this case, would be the Gulf of Maine. Gaining further insight on interest from offshore wind developers in an area through the request for interest notification. So you're looking at what is called the RFI area, just inside of the planning area. The call for information and nomination stage, we call it the call area, narrows an area further to gauge specific interest in acquiring commercial wind leases and obtaining comments from interested and affected parties regarding site conditions, resources, and other uses of the area. BOEM then identifies wind energy areas based on their comments, and then further whittling down to the final actual lease areas. So we've been through the planning area stage, request for information area stage, and the call area stage. Now we are waiting for BOEM to come up with a draft wind energy areas for stakeholders to place comments on. Next, please. So the Gulf of Maine offshore wind process is just starting in reality, considering it can take up to 10 years to actually have offshore wind fields placed in lease areas. So what you're seeing here is we've been through an RFI call area, and now we're just right at that early timeline of that first year, waiting for the wind energy areas to be declared by BOEM in the draft form. Next, please. So here is BOEM's siting map showing the RFI area, which is the black outline. So if you look close to shore, follow that all the way around, that is the essentially all of the Gulf of Maine, with the exception of state waters. The smaller designation area, the call area, is highlighted in green. That's what we just went through, where BOEM asked for comments on that particular area of, if you had any concerns in that particular area for whatever stakeholder had concerns. In this case, our concerns would be fisheries, habitats, and such. Next, please. So let's take a look at some fisheries footprints in the Gulf of Maine. Here is just one particular fishing industry's footprint in the Gulf of Maine. Traps, pots, which are largely lobster and crab. This data shows data points between 1996 and 2015. Hard to find an open area right there. The data is acquired from the data portal from the Northeast Regional Ocean Council. These marks represent single point data. Please listen carefully. The single point data is incomplete of the actual area fished. The fisheries submit, that are required to submit vessel trip reporting, but they report where they start their fishing. They don't report their whole span of their fishing. So a trawl would report where they first started their trawl. A lobster harvester would start the reporting point of where they dropped their first trap of their trap patrol. In the case of lobster and crab fishery, as I said, not everyone is required to report through these VTR or vessel trip report systems, or observer programs, or vessel monitoring programs. So this map understates the lobster and crab fishery footprint in the Gulf of Maine. So please note the data gaps exist and are wide-reaching. Not all fisheries have reporting requirements. So there's other data gaps that if you don't understand the fisheries and you don't understand reporting programs, federal and states, then this could be misunderstood and misconstrued. Now let's look at New Hampshire's specific fisheries footprint in the Gulf of Maine. Understanding that we do not publish confidential data. This is data that can be published. This map shows the for hire recreational fishing industry, which is party and charter vessels that report through a VTR program. This data represents data points from 2004 to 2022. So this, again, is not the full picture. It is an incomplete picture of reality. As you can see, it extends into federal waters. So your black line near shore is your 3-mile limit, that's state waters. If you could see a dashed blue line, that is your 12-mile from shore limit, and your solid blue line is your 24-mile limit. Federal waters start at 3 miles. Next, please. This map shows the New Hampshire's commercial fishing footprint that
We're having
reports.
some technical difficulties.
Okay.
There we go.
Thanks. Yeah, even the computer is pausing. The map shows the New Hampshire's commercial fishing footprint that reports through a VTR or state mandated program between the years of 2004 and 2022. As you can see, it extends well into federal waters out to the Hague Line, which is the border with Canada. Again, these represent single point data, so it's incomplete of the actual area fished. Let's try it again. Thank you. Just to show the importance of understanding reported data, single point reported data in the fishery, this is an example of the VTR single point data, which you see highlighted in red. That's where we have actual New Hampshire fishing footprint way out there by the Hague Line, versus the expanded area that is actually being fished by some of the offshore lobster fishing industry. This data was supplied to BOEM by the Atlantic Offshore Lobster Association. So as you can see, the single point data can be misleading if you don't understand. Let me catch up to Dan. Go ahead, Dan. When BOEM defined the call area, which is right where you're looking is the gray shaded area, New Hampshire commented that there were still areas of interest to New Hampshire's fisheries and economics to our small ports and fisheries. As you can see in the red-lined areas, those are within the call area, and those are either recreational or commercial ventures in federal waters. The fishing industry also supplied comments to BOEM through the call area comment period on concerns of siting wind farms in areas that would affect New Hampshire's fishing communities. Many stakeholders provide comments during each one of these phases. However, What is not going to be understood is how transmission and interconnection will occur or will affect New Hampshire's footprint as well as in New Hampshire's waters. So wind developers don't need to show any sort of transmission interconnection until they actually get a lease area and they submit a construction and operations plan, what we call a COP, after the wind energy area is identified. That could be 5 years down the road before we will have an understanding as to what might occur within state waters if transmission or substations come into our state waters, or even if fisheries are affected from our fisheries footprint that you saw in Federal Waters. Next, please. As you know, the department's mission in part is to conserve, manage, and protect natural resources and habitat and provide the public with opportunities to use these resources. We are involved in fisheries management through the state's process, as well as collaboratively with the Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission, which I will say commission, and I'm sorry if I do, because it doesn't mean you guys when I say commission. And the New England Fisheries Management Council by developing fishery management plans, conducting frequent stock assessments, and developing habitat protections through those other two organizations. Therefore, the Fish and Game, states within the Gulf of Maine, the council, and the commission will be commenting on areas that will affect fishery management plans again as we continue to step through that timeline that you saw. Next, please. Some of the comments that I have already produced in 2 letters that went to BOEM through the RFI and the call area, comment period, is the surveys. We have not just New Hampshire, but also federal surveys and other state surveys have long-term data on fish species in the Gulf of Maine that fisheries management decisions are based on through rigorous stock assessments. These surveys on this slide are conducted by NOAA Fisheries, and they have been conducted since 1963. It's very important to have long-term data in order to be able to determine trends to make good management decisions. If all of a sudden these fixed point surveys need to navigate around farms, or we start missing some survey points, then that could be affecting fisheries management decisions, which in turn affect our fisheries stakeholders. Next, please. Other long-term series surveys in the Gulf of Maine are an ecosystem monitoring survey, northern shrimp, and the Maine New Hampshire inshore trawl survey. Massachusetts also has an inshore trawl survey. These are just examples of important data that is incorporated into fisheries management decisions. Without this long-term data series, fishery management decisions are not based on trend data, or in the case of offshore wind, if the fields interrupt these fishing communities, we wouldn't know that right off. So we may be making fishery management decisions not to realize. Next, please. So, it's a busy ocean out there. Just to note that vessels transiting is a concern with the fishing community. This can affect their economics. If they need to transit a large distance around an offshore field to get to fishing grounds or make decisions on managing their safety, their own safety issues, this could affect their overall economics, whether they're going to be able to get out to their normal fishing grounds. This is just one example. As you can see with this slide, vessels transiting to fishing grounds and fishing in areas is very extensive. The red line you see is the Hague line. So when you're looking at this, you're not seeing Canada boats when you get to the east of the Hague line, but you do still see vessels, and these are fishing vessels transiting through Canada waters. Next, please. So we are concerned about not just fisheries, but also the environmental concerns. And we will continue to comment and be aware of potential environmental impacts during all phases of the offshore development timeline and operations. While I have concentrated on fisheries in this particular presentation, the department is also interested in impacts to wildlife, such as birds, bats, marine mammals. I am a member of the Regional Wildlife Science Collaborative for Offshore Wind, which is a cooperatively established group and is led by 4 sectors, which is the federal agencies, the states, NGOs, and the offshore wind industry. And this collaborative supports research and monitoring on wildlife and offshore wind. So we're always trying to stay ahead through these organizations of studies that are needed in order to make good decisions. Next, please. Also, as the process of offshore wind development continues, there will be needs for different type of modeling efforts through the siting process to be as inclusive of all reliable data available, which comes with caution. Again, data gaps are prevalent, and that could affect the outputs of modeling. NOAA's Coastal Science Office has been actively involved in modeling and has already sought comments from state agencies to try and identify some issues as they continue to populate models with data and see if they fit the outputs. Next. The other thing, we want to stay ahead of with studies. The timing of this leasing process is ahead of many studies and assessments that are being conducted or planned in the Gulf of Maine. So it's hard for BOEM to be informed if there's not any current studies. Such as studies are being planned by the states, NOAA Fisheries. The state of Maine actually will be developing a research array off of Portland that we won't be able to garner any information from probably within 3 years at least. So these studies hopefully will be providing the best information to minimize impacts to the marine environment, habitats, and fisheries to assure developing ocean users can coexist, especially when it comes to New Hampshire, who's a small state with small ports and a small vessel fleet. This could affect New Hampshire's fishing industry quickly if we're not careful and on top of this. Next, please. So now we're done with the graphics. Now we have words to read. I'm not going to delve into regurgitating these words, but as we navigate towards sharing the ocean with many competing users in the future, we'll be collaboratively working with the fishing community and the shoreside infrastructure support to be watchful as this process of siting offshore wind barrels down on us. But the potential socioeconomics that can be affected, as listed here, probably won't be really understood until offshore wind comes to us. As I mentioned, New Hampshire is a small state, small ports, and many small-sized vessels which have limited access to fishing grounds far off if it's affected by offshore wind development. So we do, and it's important to consistently engage the stakeholders from a wide range of perspectives to be successful in sharing the ocean. Next, please. So the planning stages south of us and actual development stages to the south of us, offshore wind development has started in Massachusetts, New Jersey, and New York. So New Hampshire, Maine, and Massachusetts, at least I should say around the Gulf of Maine, has been involved in planning ahead, trying to plan ahead of actual development. But this process moves very quickly when it comes to providing comments. We need to be quick about providing comments. We need to be aware of the next stages and how to prepare as best as they can. The Marine Division is involved with most of these listed committees that you see here. There's 2 other slides to stay abreast of concerns. We have relied upon other states that have already gone through this. We rely on the science that is coming out of this process that other states have had to study. And what's important to note here is many of the states to the south of us that are ahead of us with offshore wind development, they have separate energy or coastal zone management agencies that are dealing with this with staff. Here in New Hampshire, we're dealing with offshore wind development with our current staff. Even though the state has a Department of Energy, they are not aware of fisheries issues, they're not aware of all the stakeholders, so the Department of Energy does rely on DES and Fish and Game for a lot of input. So these are just some of the collaboration that occurs with me and staff pretty much on a weekly basis. It's a big time sink. Next. Here's 2 other groups that we are aware of, and I do participate in the Regional Wildlife Science Collaborative. The RODA, the Responsible Offshore Development Alliance, is actually more for the fishing community and not for state agencies. This is to help the fishing community understand conflicts and try and get to some science based on their concern. Next, please. The special initiative on offshore wind has been really engaging all the state agencies as well as the power developers. Mainly at this point in time, we are pulling together a fisheries mitigation MOU. The Department of Energy in New Hampshire will be signing this MOU. It's not going to be binding. But what it is it's going to start the process for developing an offshore mitigation, or fisheries mitigation program that states and power developers will be contributing to be able to distribute mitigation monies to affected stakeholders in the fisheries. So as this continues, it seems as though my list of committees continue to grow as each need arises. Okay, I think the next is, do you have any questions? Or have I put you all to sleep?
Sheree, has any studies been done whether the Atlantic coast or the Pacific coast is better for wind offshore?
So, I can't say specifically, but from what I have read, the Atlantic coast has got more wind to it than the Pacific coast. But the Pacific coast is developing also, as well as the Gulf Coast.
I do like issues.
Oh, okay. I don't see it.
Is there any like glaring specific habitat issues that have already come up, like from aquatic plants to like whales, that we're like, this is gonna be really bad for these things? Like, is there anything that's already been flagged on the topic, or is it still really just a gray area in general?
How specific do you want me to get?
Well, I'm just
So-
saying, is there something like where like, okay, this specific fish is gonna have a really bad time with us, or this specific plant, or is there anything that people are already like, this is gonna be bad?
Well, yes, there are concerns. They're species specific and at all life stages.
Okay.
So when you're talking about a variety of habitats in the ocean, pretty much your fish have varying life stages through many habitats. So that is a concern. If you think you can just put a wind field with a mud hole somewhere out there, all of a sudden you're affecting, for example, monkfish. Or you could be affecting juvenile cod and such. It's really hard to find specifically,
Right.
which is the reason why we can't stop being very watchful of both. And when they keep winnowing down to areas of the next one being wind energy area, then we can look at habitats that we know that are in that area and make comments on the various life stages that we know are there. Wind farms can affect habitat through scouting issues, can affect habitat through transmission lines, through electromagnetic fields. There's no simple clarity to that question, to be honest with you. That's why we have to be on top of each stage and go with the science that we know, the studies that we know, and be able to make comments based on it. Did I get to your question?
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I was just wondering how complicated, which now you've answered that.
It's very complicated, yes.
Commissioner Hart?
Thank you. Can you just clarify, this is only a matter of when, not if. So it will be that there will be offshore wind.
It's a freight train.
Okay.
Oh.
Only outside of state waters, or is it still an open discussion on if allowed in state waters?
Good question. So you notice that the call area keeps it outside of state waters at this point? Thank you, Dan. I think you'll see it. There's a gray area right there. That gray area is the call area. So that keeps it out of state waters at this point in time, with the exception of we don't know where substations and transmission lines are going to be coming to shore. We won't know that until the COPs are developed, the construction and operation plans. So the developers will have been granted a lease, and then they develop the COPs, and then comment on that, in hopes that we address ecological concerns.
So with that said, can you help me better understand like the checkpoints or the process? So meaning the wind research area, then somebody comes in and says, hey, I want to build a farm. They put a lease application in, and then does it then trigger our alteration of terrain permit if they want to dig up state waters for transmission line? Where does the state get involved in being able to say, no, you can't cut across that part to get to shore and get?
Again, really good questions here. The state can get involved at this level through the Coastal Zone Management Act. So that resides with DES. So we can say to Bohm our concerns. New Hampshire has a vested interest in this particular area, and we have sort of concerns that need to be mitigated or need to be minimized. When and if transmission lines and substations and such come through New Hampshire, then they would have to go through a normal wetlands process. And that's when an additional period of time can be analyzed through that permitting process.
Is there somewhere where this process has already been started and they are building offshore wind as we speak?
Not in the Gulf of Maine. However, state of Maine is probably a year or two away. Can you scroll up and I can try and see, scroll towards the, oh, okay, no, go back, right there. So you see those two shipping lanes coming out of Portland? Looks like a V north of us.
Yeah.
And then you see a white box. That is actually where the state of Maine has, is seeking a permit or lease area right there for the research.
Somewhere else outside of the Gulf of Maine?
Yes.
No.
South of
to my
us,
original question.
south of us, there is Massachusetts, New Jersey, Rhode Island, New York, they're in various stages, but yes.
But those are all
wind
fixed
development.
based, right?
Those are all monopiles, fixed base, yeah. Yeah, because that's in shallow.
Have the Europeans done these deep water ones yet? I think they have, but.
Again, we try not to go with what has happened in Europe, because there are different currents, there's different habitat, there's different species in reality. So we're very cautious how we use Europe's information. But yes, Europe in the North Sea does have some floating platforms.
There are no floating platforms in North America.
There is no floating platforms.
That's the direction of my question.
Correct. So the anchoring system, as you can see, really splays out. So what might happen with monopiles is you can have fishing activity that can occur in between. But with floating anchors, it's a little bit more difficult to have.
If I may, what's the big driver behind this? Is federal mandate, we'll research this, BOEM is just, yeah, is it private industry funding this? What's the big driver?
The big driver is actually a presidential
So it's a federal initiative.
Request to develop offshore wind by 2020.
So the best spot that's spinning the best meters for the wind may not be the best substrate below to anchor. I mean, it's just gonna be a whole lot of things at play.
There's a whole lot of things at play. That's a really good phrase.
Can't imagine.
Any further questions of Sherry? Thank you, Sherry.
Well, thank you for the interest.
Okay. Committee reports, legislative committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We did not meet in August due to competing meetings with the firefighter and legislative at the time. We met this morning. We approved our July minutes, 3-0, one abstention, and we have one absence. I make a motion. We also reviewed rules and pending bill language Regarding rules, I make a motion that we accept FIS 607.02 regarding sea scallops. These rules expire in January. Staff is seeking no changes. It's just expiring. The committee voted 4-0. Can I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It's approved.
Thank you. The second rule that came up at FIS 611.02 regarding seaweed and marine plants. As with the prior rules, these are only expiring, the staff is not seeking any changes. This passed out to committee 4-0, and I make a motion that we accept the committee's recommendation.
I'll second that motion.
Been moved and seconded to accept the motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Stand approved.
We reviewed 4 staff proposed bills. First one is bear registration agent fees to be allowed for agents to allow charging for registering a bear. This would change RSA 208. This moved out committee 4-0. I make the motion that we accept committee recommendation.
Second. Been moved and seconded to accept the committee recommendations on the bear registration station agents. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Stand approved.
The second requested staff bill would modify RSA 208 regarding deer seals. This is a technical bill that would remove deer seals and be changed to confirmation number to accommodate our one-line deer registration. This voted out of committee 4-0. I make a motion that we support the committee.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Commissioner Green, did you have a discussion that you wanted to amend that to take out tag?
No, my discussion only was to say exactly what the committee was looking for.
Okay, all right.
Third,
Any
I'm sorry.
any further discussion?
Move it along.
Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Stand approved.
Thank you. The third bill requested by staff would modify RSA 215:2 regarding fingerprinting guide applicants for a felony background check for out-of-state guide applicants. This voted out of committee 4-0, and I make a motion that we accept the committee's recommendation.
Second.
Moved and seconded to accept the committee's recommendation on RSA 215:2. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Stand approved.
Thank you. The fourth bill, we did not call a vote. The committee was uncomfortable with some of the language, and Commissioners Hodgson and Tatone will meet with staff, work on language, and we will have another legislative committee meeting before the end of the month to allow Marty time to get support for the bill and get it through the Senate. So there wasn't a vote taken.
Thank you. Is that it?
We have one more. We were asked to consider some language on a retained bill, HB 472, regarding seasonal docks. Representative Darby is representing the House Resources and Rec Committee on this. He sent me some language. I distributed it to the committee. We just could not support this language. We remain opposed to the current proposed bill. So that's where that stands. I'll go back and communicate that to Representative Darby.
Governance Committee, Commissioner Cavanagh.
We have not met, but we will be. I'll have something for next month.
Okay. Sustainability and Strategic Planning, Commissioner Hodgson's not here, but I'm going to just speak a little bit on his part. He has sent out orders for us to interview different staff members and ourselves. Please get those to Commissioner Hodgson as soon as you can so that he can compile the results. Resources and Infrastructure, Commissioner Green.
Resource and infrastructure is not met. I had made a request for the files on the hatcheries that we wanted to look into, and I have not received those yet. On the hatchery studies.
Okay, thank you. Public engagement and education, Commissioner DeRosa.
Yeah, we did not meet. Commissioner Price is going to be taking over as chair temporarily for me for an interim.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Commissioner Price, Lakes Management Advisory Committee.
We got on that.
And Commissioner Hodgson is not here for the Withers Committee. Old business. Anybody have any old business? Commissioner Green.
Last month, and I guess AJ can answer this one. It was sent to the committee to follow up with Jennifer Beck on her requests from, regarding conservation commissions with the
bios.
on the commission. I know she called me Saturday morning. Haven't received any calls or anything on it. Can you give me an update?
Yeah, as you know, I had some serious family stuff to come up. Part of the reason why Commissioner Price has temporarily taken over the chair of the committee for me. So we have briefly discussed that again, but there will be some movement on that. So that's what I have for you right now, unfortunately.
Commissioner Price.
Thank you. I do plan to have a committee meeting on that, and I think it would be helpful if you could provide the contact information for this woman that's been contacting you about this, and I could talk to her directly. I think flesh it out a little bit more and bring something to the committee. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that information's been provided, I guess, to the committee, but you want me to send it to you?
No, if it, to the committee, or just?
Yeah, it was provided to me. I can
It was
also.
Okay,
provided?
can you just
Yeah.
forward that to me? Okay, yeah. But I will schedule a meeting to discuss it with the committee.
All right.
Any other old business? Seeing none. New business. Anybody have any new business? I like the speed of this. Oh, God.
You almost made it.
Oh.
Notice he said the speed of it when he wasn't looking at me. I received a couple feedback about the new website and the challenges with accessing that and changes to that. Could you give an update on where that is? Is there any more changes anticipated? And is there an opportunity to provide feedback for improvements?
Nicola?
So I believe, as it was mentioned in prior meetings, this is an ongoing process. The website is always in flux. There are a couple of modules that couldn't be ranked up in time to go for a launch, so we've been working on those. Several things have been added that weren't originally there, and everything will eventually be working, but it's a working process, and we're dependent on some things from DOIT. We just can't move any faster than they will move, so it's coming along. It's getting.
Is there a feedback process you would like to follow for any specific feedback from commissioners or from the public?
Yep, you can either reach out to me or, yeah, email, either me and or Matt Sampson.
Okay.
I would just like to comment, Nicola, that I went and searched on the website and found what I was looking for immediately. And searching for tracking related matters has always been dig, and it popped right up, so I was very pleased with the new website.
Yeah, thank you. One point I'll make is one of the goals, well, there's multiple goals, but one of them was to not have things, you have to drill down quite so far. And it had not been updated in 14 years, so.
Yeah, the search worked great, so.
Yeah, thank you.
The other
goal was to make it a lot easier to use a cell phone to access it.
Yeah, it wasn't completely, whatever that term is, so now it should be much easier using a phone, which is pretty much how most people get their data, so.
I guess most of our customer base actually uses cell phone to access the web page, so that I think is a key thing.
Mobile friend.
Yeah, I was talking to Matt this morning, and I said, well, I don't use my cell phone enough to surf on the web to look for stuff, so I really don't know what it was like before. So I can't, you know, go back and forth, but I do think that that is a step in the right direction. For sure.
Commissioner Price?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sadly, on August 27th, Bruce Gladsky of Molten Borough passed away at the age of 71. He was a longtime hunter ed instructor, over 20 years. So I did send his widow, Kathy, a condolence card and my commissioner's signature. So he'll be missed. I did receive a very nice thank you card from Tom Thompson about the commission's work on the game cam bill and the tree stand bill. So I think I'll pass this around, but it's very nice to receive a note. And I understand that the Colonel also received a note from Mr. Thompson. And I also received 3 calls in support of online deer registration. Getting good feedback on that.
Any further new business? Director's report? No, before I get there, any commissioners do anything earth-shaking that you want to let us in the world know about? Commissioner Price? No?
Pardon me?
No? No, nothing?
I can think something up. Just give me a... No, it's okay.
Seeing none? Director?
I had an opportunity last month to meet with a gentleman by the name of Jeff Eames. Some of you may know Jeff. His subject matter that he wanted to talk about was to discuss the possibilities of DOE permits for landowners. They have this system in both Maine and Vermont. I have had some discussions with our wildlife folks. Don't know whether it's something we're moving towards or not. Chris Hodgson wasn't able to attend the meeting. He was originally going to go with me, but he certainly has expressed an interest in us looking into this. Another sideline, and I think some of us don't necessarily understand the forest industry in New Hampshire. Jeff manages over 35,000 acres in southern New Hampshire, forest land in southern New Hampshire. And I guess it just surprised me that we had folks down here that were managing that large of an area for, under one control forest. John probably have a better idea than I do, but I have not been involved in forestry in southern New Hampshire many, many years, so I really don't, haven't followed the trends down here. Good thing is Jeff's a deer hunter, and he quite often includes wildlife management, habitat projects in his management schemes on these forest grounds. Also attended the New Hampshire Trappers Rendezvous at the Sandwich Fairgrounds. Some of you are probably aware that I ended up with a forced vacation this month. I tested positive for COVID, so my HR department made me follow the rules, and I was home for a little over a week. My wife was appreciative because I'd actually taken 2 days off to go home and do some haying on the farm. I worked 1 day and spent the next 3 days on the couch. She was impressed. Access and engineering. We're still searching for a chief for the division. We've had a couple of nibbles, we've had a couple of close calls, but we still haven't been able to ink a deal with anyone. The foreman at Access and Engineering has just recently retired. I and our HR coordinator, Dee, are meeting with them on a regular basis to try to add some organization to the team, and hopefully we'll go through this and get to the other side. Several of the staff attended a U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service lead shot presentation. So what they were doing is they were shooting lead core projectiles into ballistic gelatin and also in the water. as well as copper. And the concept was to try to show that copper is, copper-based bullets are an effective bullet to use on game, that they will have the lethalness that they need to have. Also, it demonstrated how much lead, we all understand the concept that, lead, when a bullet hits the game, we talk about weight retention on the bullet. Well, a lot of times you probably don't think what that means. What it really means is as the bullet travels through the target, it is, shedding lead in the target. Two issues. One is now you have lead in your meat, and then the other issue pops up is that you may have lead that you leave behind when you field rest the animal in the field, and then the impacts of that lead going forward. Everybody that I talked to from the team that went, they all thought that copper bullets were equally lethal as lead core bullets. So it was a good event. I know they're working their way around different states. You may be hearing some more about that as things go forward. And I would ask Cherie to present. We had a scheduled, Representative Carol Brown had scheduled a boat, a fishing game legislative committee boat tour, and that was while I was in sequester at home. So Cherie led the charge on that. I'd just like her to give a quick report on that event.
Sure. Thank you. So Carol Brown, who's on the Fishing Game Committee, not the secretary, clerk. He's the clerk of that committee. He had, prior to retirement, had worked with DES in the oil spill remediation. So he wanted to organize a field trip for Fishing Game Committee members to come down to the coast, take a look at Hilton Park, which was a bill that was passed in regards to having 3 agencies work together, Fish and Game, Port Authority, and DOT. DOT owns the property in Hilton Park, to see what can be done to develop it to meet more stakeholder interest, commercial, and to develop a better ramp for all tide access as opposed to partial tide access. So they did that on the shore side, and then met us at Red Bank Marine. And what turned out to be just one committee invitation turned out to be 3 committee invitations. So we had, I think of the other 2 committees, resource, R&D, and another committee also. So we had close to 24 people show up, and DES and Fish and Game was able to accommodate them on those 2 vessels. We went out to Little Bay, and we had arranged to have an aquaculture company be at their site, and they actually spoke to the agriculture company, how they harvest, what concerns were to the legislators, such as water quality concerns would shut them down from harvest periodically if they get large amounts of rain, which we did this year. And then we went and were shown areas where there is oil spill strategies, there are booms that are set up in various areas throughout all of our systems, not just Great Bay, but right up to Hampton, out to the Isles Shoals. But they were able to see at least the buoys where a boom system is set up to stop oil from going to Great Bay, for example. So they had really good questions in regards to oil spill remediation and really good questions with agriculture. Got an idea on the water side, what Hilton Park looked like. We took them up to Sprague Oil area and just showed them kind of how big the tanks are, if something like that split, how devastating an oil spill would be in the Piscataqua River. So it kind of gave people a good view of what happens for oil spill concerns in agriculture issues. Any questions?
Jim, did you have a report you'd like to do about this from the Seacoast, or was that covered earlier?
All right, there's some things that I attended over the past month that I can talk about. One of them was Erica Anhalt, a legislative assistant to Senator Shaheen, held a meeting at the Durham office with fishermen, and some of the items that were talked about were the signs involved in stock assessments, what's going on, federal permitting concerns on federal fishing permits, and availability of federal funds for infrastructure on working waterfront projects. So that was at a meeting I was on at the end of August. The other thing that came up yesterday was NOAA just received $82 million for conservation and recovery of North Atlantic right whales. Of that $82 million, $5 million is earmarked for enforcement activities, and I was wondering if a piece of that money could come to Fish and Game. And I'm sure we're going to have the office involved with this new plan with the right whale. So I
Might want to have a double check on that. And Tanya, can you put Seacoast report, Commissioner Tone, right after Rivers Management? That way I might remember that and not forget to do it. Okay. Call to the public. Who would like to address the commission? Please stand up, state your name and your business. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Julia Sinclair. I'm in Newmarket, New Hampshire. And I just wanted to say a comment based on the whole conversation / argument around the cash donation for the land that you guys were discussing. From a process improvement perspective, I think rather than yelling at Fish and Game and telling them, you didn't get it early enough and it doesn't, and you have, like vague stuff like we need more information, it would be more beneficial if you had a standard form so that every time something like this happened, like there was going to be a donation or the land questions, Fish and Game could fill out the exact form that you want, the exact list of questions, and then provide it to you by a very specified number of days that you also have documented on the form. Because just speaking in a condescending way to them is part of what gives possibly the commission a bad reputation, which you really don't need. That's all I want to say.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Would you like to stand?
Please.
Stand.
It projects to my hearing aid better.
You want me over there?
That would even be better.
Okay, I'm going to go around so I don't get the video. Hello, Christina Snyder, Chester, New Hampshire. And about 3 weeks ago, I came across a video put up by the New Hampshire Fish and Game Department regarding coyote hunting. And I was very distraught with what I saw. I thought it was there was a lot of misinformation and it was a very biased video. And I sent an email to the director, to Nicola, to Mark Bouchane, and to Marty. And I know that there were several other emails sent from people living in New Hampshire that were very upset with this video. And I also BCC'd several politicians so that they could understand exactly what's going on at Fish and Game. I did not receive a single response back from anyone. And as far as I know, there was no response to anyone else that sent an email. So these are members of the public, not just me, because I know I'm clearly despised by many people here, so I just get ignored. But there are other members of the public putting in, asking information about this and voicing their displeasure. Now I hear that the director had time to go to a trapping rendezvous and spend several hours there. If you don't want to reply because of legal issues, you can still reply and say, I received your email. Thank you. That's it. Acknowledge my presence. I was there, public hearing when you became the director. And you were saying, hey, I'm going to represent everyone. I'm going to be objective. I did receive feedback from a couple state reps and one senator, and they were appalled at what they saw. And I also had 2 state reps say, did you receive a response back? And I said, no, I didn't. And they said, would you like me to intervene on that? I said, you know what? It's not worth it. Nothing's going to change. You need to not just be here for the hunters and the trappers and the anglers. I don't know how many more times I can emphasize this. It was a very polite email. I wasn't rude. You have to do your jobs. This isn't a private hunting club. I'm asking you, please. And you know, I also got a little feedback that there was some talking about me, that when I'm up here, I'm having an angry face, or I'm giving Ray Green dirty looks or something like that. That's fine. I don't care what you think about me, but I'm just saying that when I'm up here, I'm nervous. I don't like being up here. I wish I never had to come up here. Please listen to the message and don't talk about how I'm looking, okay? Listen to what I'm trying to say. So if anyone wants to give me a response on that email, I would like it, because then I could get back to these representatives and these senators that would like to also know what's going on at Fish and Game. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Back of the room.
Steve Andrews, Conway. Today I'm wearing my North Country Angler shop hat. I wanted to give the commission a little bit of feedback that's been coming through the shop lately. It's my understanding that Vermont, whose trout season ends at the end of October, has now initiated a catch and release season for November and December. So New Hampshire is now the only state in New England that actually closes trout season. And obviously with the battle for licensed dollars, that makes us uncompetitive. As a shop owner, I want you to know that it pains me greatly to have to send anglers after October 15th over to Maine to catch trout. It pains me greatly. So something that I think we should consider. And of course, when a customer comes into me complaining about this and having to go elsewhere, I ask the question, would you pay $10 and to my out-of-state clients $20 if New Hampshire were to have a fall artificial lures only catch and release season? And I have yet to have one customer say to me, are you out of your mind? It's unanimous. I have not had a single person say that they would not pay a small amount of money to be able to continue trout fishing in our great state. So I provide this information to you from your constituents, my customers, but it seems that there's a revenue stream available to the department now if we would choose to extend our trout season. So thank you very much.
Steve, was the question asked for artificial lures, was that single hook, or you're allowing treble hooks?
I just say artificial lures only. I don't get down into the specifics. I believe Vermont is single hook.
It'd be a lot easier to release it with
Correct, correct. So there'd be a lot less hooking damage, you know, during the fall season, so.
Your questionnaire didn't stress single hook or question.
No, no, my question was to say artificial lures only because, you know, obviously more of my constituents, you know, over 80% of my constituents are fly anglers. So I want to throw the artificial lure thing in front of them to see if they're going to say, well, the spin guys too, but no one has complained about that being an option. And no one has said to me that they wouldn't pay an additional fee to be able to do that. So,
Thank you.
I just wanted to let everybody know that. I think it's an opportunity for us to bring some more money into the department.
Over here, sir.
I didn't plan to say anything, but I changed my mind. I think you people do a hell of a good job for the money you get, what you get for funds from the general fund. If some of these people lobby the general fund, the more funds for Fish and Game, you should probably be more responsive to some of these requests. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion,
Whoops.
actually.
You have a motion? Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session.
Is there a second?
I have a second.
Been moved to go into executive session. Any further discussion from the commission?
Just for clarification to the public, will you come back out and have more public meeting afterwards?
We have to come out to adjourn. I can't adjourn right now. We're going to wait until after executive session.
But there are no other agenda items.
There's nothing else on the agenda. All in favor of the motion to go into executive session? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And approved.